He thought it was scrap metal, but the rusted crown made him king of ashes. The wind swept cold and sharp across the dead plains of Vela, where broken statues lay half-buried in ash and time. Beyond the crumbled walls of a forgotten city, a lone human traveler pitched his camp as the sun bled into dusk. Elias North had seen too many burned-out worlds to care much for ancient ruins, but tonight he was grateful for the shelter of blackened stones. He dropped his pack with a groan and surveyed the scattered relics at his feet. Shards of obsidian shields, scraps of ceremonial armor, and half a dozen corroded crowns lying like discarded trinkets. One caught his eye. It was no jewel-studded circlet, just a rough iron band, once adorned with spikes now dulled by centuries of rain and rust. Elias lifted it, felt its surprising weight, and let out a low whistle. "A crown of cinders," he muttered, then laughed at the absurdity. He set it beside his small fire pit, balanced his dented kettle on top, and watched steam curl into the twilight. The crown made a perfect stand. To him, it was nothing more than an old scrap of iron made useful again. But unseen, beyond a shattered archway, a pair of amber eyes widened in horror. She had trailed him since dawn, silent as drifting ash. Her name was Seraha, last sword-bearer of the Emberguard, sworn to protect the memory of the Ashen Kings who had ruled this land when flames still danced in every brazier. For 1,000 years, her people had kept their vigil, fearing what might happen if the old crowns were touched, worn, or desecrated. They whispered of the curse of the Ember Throne, that any who claimed the lost crown, even unknowingly, would awaken the sleeping power of the Ashen Kings. And the ancient magic did not ask permission. As she watched Elias balance his kettle on the rusted crown, dread coiled in her chest like a serpent. She should have struck then, ended it quickly as duty demanded. But she hesitated. For hours, she had studied the human from the shadows, his weary steps, the way he checked the horizon with quiet caution, and the careful respect with which he had moved through the ruins before. He did not look like a conqueror. He looked like a man who had lost more than he dared to remember. Still, the curse cared nothing for intentions. And as the moon rose, the crown began to glow faintly beneath the dancing flames, its rust turning black, its broken spikes slowly straightening as though iron remembered its purpose. Elias awoke near midnight to the smell of smoke too thick to belong to his small fire. He sat up, blinking, and saw the crown ablaze, not with natural flame, but with cold violet fire that burned without heat. Startled, he reached to shove it aside. "Don't touch it." The voice cut through the night like a blade. A figure stepped into the firelight, cloak swirling, a hand gripping a sword blacker than midnight. Her face, half hidden by a bronze mask, was beautiful and stern, yet her eyes shone with terror, not anger. Elias froze, hands raised. "All right," he said hoarsely. "I won't." Seraha advanced, her sword trembling in her grip. "You don't understand. That is the crown of Ashen Kings. To use it, even for a moment, is to call its power. Stand back." "I didn't know," Elias protested. "It was just iron, just a stand for my kettle." "It knows no just human," she rasped. "Step away." But it was too late. The violet fire flared, and the crown rose into the air, spinning slowly. The wind howled, and from somewhere deep in the ruins came an answering rumble, like stones shifting after centuries of silence. Elias stumbled back. Seraha braced herself, lips moving in a prayer older than the language of stars. In the violet light, Elias saw visions. A burning throne hall, armored figures kneeling in rows, and a single crowned silhouette staring down from a dais of blackened bone. The crowned figure turned, and for a heartbeat, Elias saw his own face staring back at him, eyes cold and ancient. The vision broke. The crown fell at Elias's feet, still hot with power. Seraha stood rigid, breath shallow, as if balancing on the edge of despair. "What did you see?" she demanded. "I don't know," Elias whispered. "Flames, thrones, and me, wearing that thing." Her sword dipped. "Then it has chosen," she murmured, "and the curse is fulfilled." "I don't want it," Elias insisted. "Take it, bury it, destroy it." Seraha shook her head, sorrow tightening her features. "You think any of us wanted it? The Ashen Kings themselves wished to be free, but power bound them, and now it binds you. The crown knows only to seek a master, and it has chosen you." Elias staggered back, disgust and fear fighting in his chest. "I'm nobody, just a traveler." "And yet," she said, voice breaking, "you are now the last Ashen King." She knelt, the tip of her sword touching the ash. "I am Seraha, last of the Emberguard. My oath is to the crown, wherever it rests, even on the brow of a man who never sought it." "Get up," Elias rasped. "Don't kneel to me." "I must," she whispered. "The ancient magic demands it. And worse still, others will feel the crown awaken. Hunters, warlords, the forgotten horrors that sleep beyond the veil. They will come for you now, to bend you or break you." Elias stared at the battered circlet lying in the dirt. "Then what do I do?" "You must claim it properly," Seraha said. "Not as a fool who mistook it for scrap, but as the heir fate chose, or its power will burn you from within." He hesitated. Then, slowly, Elias reached down. The crown felt strangely warm in his hands, as though it remembered a master's touch. "Put on," Seraha urged, voice raw, "before it consumes you without allegiance." Elias swallowed hard. "And then what? Am I a king of ashes?" "Yes," she said softly, "but a king can choose what rises from those ashes." With trembling fingers, Elias set the crown on his brow. At once, violet fire coursed along the iron, flowing into old scars on his temples, then down into his chest. He cried out, falling to his knees. Memories not his own flooded him. Armies marching, banners burning, the weight of command, and the crushing solitude of power. Yet beneath it all, he sensed something else, a yearning, an ancient one not for conquest, but for rebirth. The fire faded. Elias gasped for breath. When he looked up, Seraha was still kneeling, tears streaking the dust on her cheeks. "Rise," he said hoarsely. "I won't have you kneel to me." She stood, sword at her side. "Then command me, my king." The night grew still. Far across the plains, distant lights flickered, torches of those drawn by the crown's awakening. Elias knew running would change nothing. The power was part of him now, and danger would follow until the end. "Seraha," he said quietly, "will you stand with me if I try to use this power to protect, not to rule?" She met his gaze, something fierce and hopeful sparking behind her exhaustion. "Yes, that is all I have ever prayed for." At dawn, they stood together on the edge of the ruined city. The morning wind caught the tatters of Seraha's cloak, and the crown's iron spikes glinted dully in the gray light. Elias felt the power within him stir like a sleeping beast, but he set his will against it, holding it in check. "This crown burned 1,000 thrones," he murmured. "Let it build something better now. And if it cannot," Seraha asked softly, "then we make sure it dies with us," Elias said. They walked on, two silhouettes crossing a land of ashes.